This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to Transformations with Tara Sutphin. Tara Sutphin is the author of Blame It on Your Past Lives, Soul Agreements, and The Abenda Chronicles. Grammy-nominated audios, videos, and MP3 series. You can find these MP3 series now at TaraInsight.com.
Welcome to Transformations with Tara Sutphin. And my guest today is R.C. Sutphin.
Wow.
Okay. R.C. Mathis.
Yeah.
And he is one of our dearest friends. And he's an author, screenwriter, and producer. And you have been writing, and writing, like I was saying in your bio.
Yeah.
And then you have Jason.
Yeah. Well, you know, almost everybody I know who's doing something creative, the only upside, time-wise, you know, to COVID is that we have more time to do stuff. So me, including me.
That's the upside.
Yeah, it's ironic.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I have Jason D. McKean, who is the Tara Wizard, and he has he's over 1 million ohms throughout the world.
Oh.
Thank you, Jason, for being on the show as well.
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it.
Right. And gosh, RC, I mean, you were just in GQ magazine. You have.
Yeah. I was just getting my iced coffee.
And, you know, you've been, writing for all these really amazing projects. I'm excited.
Yeah. It's also, you know, with COVID, the movie business and the TV business has been affected. Production has been affected. So, you know, I've been doing things, getting ready for the return. And it's, you know, with the vaccines, I think things are slowly getting back to what it's not quite normal, but it's better, you know?
Yeah, we hope so, for sure.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So,
you eat your iced coffee with a spoon? Is it that thick?
It's that thick.
It's like European iced coffee.
It's just beans. It's just beans on ice.
Right.
One of the projects, by the way, that I'm in the midst of involves Jason,
Right.
which is a Zoom production of something that I wrote. I can't mention the title, but
can I mention it?
No, you cannot mention it. Oh my God! Jeez,
see your heart go.
Yeah. So Jason's been doing some acting and doing it really well, by the way.
Thank you for that.
Is it been the beard acting or is it Jason?
Yeah, it's just the beard. Like, hello.
It's just the beard. Yeah. We don't even know who it's attached to. But people are, you know, I think that beard could get nominated. You know.
For what?
Just, you know, best beard performance.
Yeah, it's with that. I mean, you know, when you write something, right, and then you see it like acted out, is that a whole different experience?
Oh yeah, it's always a different experience because you know, if you've got talented actors, you can detect nuances that, you know, they can reveal nuances, I should say, that you may not have even been aware of consciously. Because I think with, you know, good acting, it almost kind of reveals like the unconscious stuff in some cases, so you can see it more clearly, you know. And it just gives you a whole other relationship to what you've done.
I can see where a relationship between the writer and the director and the actors is really important. And maybe a good script, a great script, just has all the information in it already. That it's the blueprint, and then the actor and director, they can like take it from there. But it's like the writer is the genesis of the entire project.
Yeah,
And
and with this one, since I wrote it and I'm directing it, I have a very clear idea, certainly what my intention was. But that's the surprising part, that you then with really good performances, you'll see. And by the way, the other thing that I've seen happen too is that something you thought was pretty good, a good actor can expose it to be, that it needs more work. You can see that you've gotten accustomed to it in your own mind, but when you hear it out loud, um, you realize that there's a little bit more you want to do to it.
Right. Well, I mean, don't you have to kind of let it go once when you write a script, somebody else, a director comes in and they kind of see their, you know, direction for it, and then the actors kind of take on a life. So it may not exactly be how you saw it, but a lot of yours have come out really great.
Yeah, it's always different than what you imagine.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's pretty fascinating. And yeah, when you're not directing it, that you really do have to let go. You have to just sort of say, okay, it's in their hands now, and hope for the best. But with this thing, it's been great because I've really been able to, to watch it come to life and to watch these performances, um, sort of reveal things that are in there. So it's been quite amazing.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of really good actors. So I mean, I've been very blessed with some really good actors here. So I mean, that's if you don't have that, then everything you've written kind of doesn't sound. It's not the best way to get it across. Let's put it that way.
Well, I think of you as writing a lot. I mean, like I'm a good audience for you, screaming around the room and talking to you about it.
Yeah, you are.
That's why you like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make me screaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that, I mean, you already do something kind of in 5D. So whereas, somebody has to take that 5D and then create with that 5D. Because, a lot of writers only, it can be a cartoon, it's all flat.
Oh, easily. I think a lot of it. I mean, having produced a lot of stuff and cast a lot of stuff, pretty quickly too, with actors when they come in. I mean, you get the vibe, not just how they look, not just that they sort of express the physicality of it in the right way, but there's a kind of a way that they resonate with what you've given them, and you can see it immediately. I mean, there are some really fine filmmakers who feel like casting is the key to the whole thing. That if you cast the right person, you barely have to say anything. And I have seen that. I found that to be true. You can just give them very simple input. Go a little faster, go a little slower. It doesn't need to be much because they're already in sync with the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And every now and then when you're casting, it's the weirdest thing that somebody will come in who seems completely wrong. They just don't. They're not at all what you had in your mind, and they start to do it, and miraculously, they are perfect. They're perfect for it. And so, there's this kind of transforms your sense of what you created.
Right. You just never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
That's the creative process, right?
It better be. Yeah. If you know it's not creative.
Right. And I mean, and you have to work with a lot of teams. Jason and I are kind of, we're each other's team. Jason, could you
Yeah.
talk to me about that?
Have you guys thought about casting each other differently? I mean, like, somebody that could be, or switching. That would be interesting.
Giving Tara the beard? Is that what you're
Well, I'm
suggesting?
saying do a switch. 1 week you could do like a switch. You could do like this week you can be Tara and Tara can be you. I want credit for that idea. If you do it, I want credit for that idea. I want on-screen credit.
It's already happened in like Freaky Friday.
So Tara, I was asking you before we went on about the painting behind you. It's really wonderful.
Isn't it beautiful?
Is that Willie?
William. Yeah, he
My
did it.
God.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
my little baby's talented.
Wow. Boy, I'll say.
Yeah, he's so it's a mixed media. It is.
Is it tin? I know he works with tin.
Yeah. It's metal, and he cuts it out, and then he puts it on with saline wire, and then or saline string.
Yeah.
He sews it, and then it's painted several different times. And he always puts in one flaw because he knows that everything in life is flawed. So there's always a flaw.
Really? So if you put in a flaw deliberately, is it a flaw?
No, it's probably the perfection of the imperfection.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, so that's
this is getting too deep for me. I think I'm gonna have to. I think we better wrap this up.
You're gonna need another iced coffee.
Yeah, get me some more coffee. Well, it's really fantastic looking. Yeah, I love it.
Who, when they claimed that Horus would be the sun god, so this has been that period of time.
Wow, it's fantastic looking.
Yeah.
So did he title it?
Yeah, well, it's just Hororite because that's who, that's what the Egyptians called it.
Sure. Fantastic. Yeah,
when Horus became the sun god.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're always facilitating Willie somewhere. You with the egg chair and.
Yeah, that egg chair keeps going back and forth between us. But I can remember Willie when he was a little kid, and he was very imaginative and original in the way he looked at things, So I mean, it seems inevitable that he was going to head on a path.
Yeah. I remember when they were that him and Sean came to talk to us about how they'd like to run with the bulls in Spain.
When they were little?
Yeah, well, they were like 16 or 17. And I remember you being at the table and asking them questions like this. Really, you want to do that?
Yeah,
that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Do you know the word transfusion? Yeah. No,
it doesn't look fun.
Did they ever end up doing that? I don't even know. Did they do it?
No.
Oh my God.
No. It was something I didn't.
It's funny. Whenever it's not funny, but it's bizarre that whenever every year when it happens, somebody gets gored. Well, and they're always shocked by it.
Well, horses, when horses, they don't want to step on you no matter what. So if you're laying on the ground, they're going to jump over you. They're going to try to not hit you. To whereas bulls and cows, they don't raise their legs like that. So they just
and also the way they shuttle them down this narrow street. I mean, it's all designed to stress them out, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's always some guy that's got a horn sticking out of his chest, and he's like, "How did this happen?" And it's like, well, maybe you should have stayed at home. You should have stayed at home.
Yeah, watched it on TV.
You should have watched it on TV. Yeah.
Right.
But it's like this. It's this ritual of like becoming a man, right? It's like certain cultures have their methods of like just kind of just putting you out there and say, okay, you do this and you're a man now.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if we actually have that. I mean, if you're into athletics, I think there's always a dimension of that in athletics, that you have to be stoic with injuries and you have to always rise to the occasion no matter what. And, it's always a crucible in a kind of a way. But without athletics, I'm trying to think back if there was anything that, that you went through or that I went through that would qualify.
All the years we've known each other. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah.
No, I
It's
don't
just
even wanna
it's
get
just socializing with
treadmill.
people. It's just knowing the people that we know. That's a
Right.
crucible.
I think there's passages though that are individual passages. It's like
Mm.
moments where we can look to conquer fear within ourselves.
Yeah.
But on
Yeah.
an individual basis, it's not always like the group
Right.
effort or the where you're in a mob of of like this insanity, like a
Running
bull
with the
run.
bulls, though. Like you and I could chase you. Or you could chase me. We could do sort of our more,
Yeah, with like a little horn headset.
I
There,
would do that for you.
Oh, talking
Paper
about
mache. I'm not going to use real horns. I don't want to harm you, but I want to help you to evolve to a level of bravery.
I was looking for a picture yesterday of you and saw the picture of you and Jason. Gosh, it's back
What
in
were we doing?
early
Something,
90s.
right? We're always doing something.
We're doing Halloween, and you have
Oh, yeah.
It was
That's
hilarious.
Right. I had devil horns.
Yeah.
That was up in,
But you're
what?
just
I remember
there,
that being in Topanga. I think it was in Topanga Canyon. And I think the next week, my house burned down, as I recall.
Oh, yeah.
That was the timetable. And we just gotten, maybe we just got back from Kona, all of us, right?
All of us, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
from
everything was
Hawaii.
happening. Talk about a crucible. Yeah. Well, there you go. A lot of things happen fast.
I don't. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it was at Halloween. I don't remember. Yeah, because it was goddesses and yeah. I think
It was actually on Big Rock.
and demons.
Oh,
Or
was it Big
something
Rock?
like
Yeah.
that.
It was maybe Kara's house, maybe.
Yeah.
Karen.
It was Big Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the last time I ever wore horns like that. So savor it.
Goddesses. We were goddesses, and you guys were the Greek gods or something.
Yeah.
I was like a Harley Davidson man, I think.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you look kind of like. Yeah, I didn't know where the myth went with you.
Well,
I know that.
it is a mythical being. I'm not a Harley Davidson man. I'm like the furthest thing from a Harley Davidson man.
Yeah,
But
you are.
so that is kind of like a mythical being that I was in that role of, I guess.
Well, I think it's funny because we were in Mexico,
Yeah.
and maybe that's where you got the idea of being a Harley Davidson man, because
Oh yeah, didn't you took
they
a
would
trip
either
there,
come
right?
up to Jason and say Jesus and say, pray to him, or
Yeah.
they would in Mexico when we'd be in Mexico, or they'd say Harley Davidson man, and
Yeah, vroom vroom vroom.
Oh really? Oh
yeah. So that's
yeah.
what.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, you and also you get there's there's well-known people in the world that you resemble, and you've been mistaken for those people too.
Oh yeah, it's been so funny.
Yeah.
Right? Like Carol
Those are
Channing.
great moments. Yeah, those
Particularly
are
Carol
great.
Channing.
Carol
Yeah.
Channing. Bert Convey.
Kurt Conway. Didn't I give you that cup that you're drinking out of?
You see,
What, this cup here?
Yeah. Oh, I love that cup.
Hey, quit looking at me.
Hey,
Quit
hey,
looking at me.
Hey.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah, you want it back? Is that
Kind of.
is just a loner?
I want it back.
Well, mine was in the shop, so well, I use it a lot.
My Harley is in the shop, and when I get it back, I'll like come over and give you your cup back.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe it's like a share cup. 1 year he has it, and next year you got it, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So-
you guys are working on this project. You can share it even on the project when you guys are working together.
Yes, Jason.
with
Maybe one.
with writing, because I have the utmost respect for writers. Most of my friends are writers. It's
Yeah.
like the vast majority of people that I am close with, are write in some form, and it's like it's not like a hobby, right? For you and everyone else. This is like, where you sit down from the time you get up and you're like, the engine is running and you're doing the work. And I have a lot of respect for that because it is a vocation, it's a calling, it's something that you don't just put something out as far as like output what's in your head and then say, oh my God, that's incredible, that's perfect. It's like it's a process of going back and it's like a concrete or a marble block there that you put out there, and then you start honing it and fine-tuning it and creating this sculpture.
Well, anybody who writes, I think, knows that it's all about the rewriting. That it very rarely comes out, exactly the way you like it right off the bat. Sometimes, you get a sentence or a paragraph, or you get an idea for something, and it can come fully birthed, but more often you're refining it. So it takes a certain obsessive level of patience to do it. I always call it's kind of lapidary in a way, that you just have to continue to find what it's really all about and eliminate what it's not about. And it takes time, but a lot of it too for me is that I have a lot of ideas. And so I like to get one completed so I can move on to the next one too. It's kind of like they're moving up in line, but yeah, I've been doing it a long time. My God, it's crazy. But I think I learned, what it is to have, to live that way, to be a writer, certainly from watching my father. I was blessed in that he worked at home, so I could see what it was really all about. And what it was really all about was just a lot of hard work. You've got to have the other elements. Talent doesn't hurt, when it comes to any of us doing anything. But you got to you have to just keep refining it.
Well, and he was in the day of manual typewriters.
Oh
and
yeah, right.
pencils
Yeah,
and erasers and
oh,
notebooks
right.
and
Yeah.
shuffling paper around and cut and scissors. Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember in the early days when I was writing that they came out. It was whiteout, right? And then they came out with paper you could erase. And then I think the Selectric would back up and would white out over a letter, and you thought, well, it'll never get any better than this. This is great, And I would say, without word processing, I don't think I'd get as much done. I just don't see how I could, because I'm able to, I can move a paragraph over here. I can shift a page. I can, there's such fluidity in what you can do. And that's part of the refining process. Sort of going, I think this speech that's on page 17 would work better on page 11, or whatever, I'm going to introduce this character sooner. Or I'm going to like this particular phrase, I think would be more applicable to something else. And you can do it. You can do it so fast. And then you look at it and you go, no, I actually like it better on page 7. But you can really investigate your instincts creatively so fast, and I just wouldn't be able to get as much done with typewriters. Oh my God, it's like, whew,
I remember sitting in typing class in 9th or 10th grade,
yeah,
and going, well, when am I ever going to really use this?
You were basically right. You were basically right. I never learned to touch type, but when you've been typing for a really long time, you're sort of doing it anyway, but I have to look down. And but I remember, like we called them secretaries in the beginning, when I was a writer producer, and there were just people that could just sit there and they would never look up. They would just, and it was amazing to me. They really were trained that way. so they could just whip through a document. And I never did that. I think I must have flunked typing in high school. If I didn't, I should have. But the other thing that some writers do, I don't, is dictate. And like I think Rod Serling used to do that, and I know some friends that do that. And it's for me, part of the experience of it is it's sort of sculptural, and I have to actually be interacting. I have to have an interactive relationship with the keyboard and see the words in front of me, and I have to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I always think like with articles and stuff, I have to do my formulas.
Your formulas? What do you mean?
Formulas, like the moon articles and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like I want to, make sure that I put in their journal questions and I put in their, explain what the moon's about in real terms, because I found with astrology, when I was learning astrology, is that people would talk astrology language and no one would know what they're talking about. So, you have to bring, it's like transferring a language into so people can understand. So that was always, with my work.
Yeah.
Always trying to bring the language into some understanding.
Yeah, it's interesting with language because you want to use language that is evocative and inspires and is a kind of a surprise for the reader, but you also don't want it to become to overwhelm what it is that you're writing about, and that can happen too. You can over poeticize something, or you can over stylize something, and just because there's an interesting word choice or an interesting structure for a sentence, it doesn't mean that it's going to invite the reader more deeply into it. It could potentially do the opposite. So it's a very interesting instinctive tightrope when you're working with language.
Right. And you're somebody who like understands language to a really deep level. To whereas mine is, I always feel is, well, they were my hobbies that turned into a job. And, and then I started writing about it so that I could share with everyone else what I felt was going on.
Yeah. But the more you work with anything, the more you get, you get more fluent with it. And there's something, I think there's something kind of painterly about working with language too. And as with painting, you could put in a beautiful color that would distract from the image. It would be too much. It would intrude, even though it would be valid unto itself. So it's finding the things that are distinctive, that are not intrusive to the overall effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. That's
yeah. That's the same thing with music. I mean, you guys know I'm a drummer, and Jason and I've done.
What? You're just, I'm just finding this out about you. Yeah. Oh my God.
So we've done a couple of albums together and stuff like that, and we've played together a lot over the years. And one of the things that every drummer, there's two things that every drummer struggles with. One is time, is making sure that your time doesn't in any way waver, because it's really easy to do that. Some people have perfect time, but it's very rare. It's really like they were just born with this perfect, precise clock, and it's quite remarkable. Most drummers don't have that. And then the other thing is that you don't want to be too busy. You don't want to throw in fills just because you can throw in a fill. You don't want to do some kind of eccentric beat just because it's cool to do that. But you also don't want to just be keeping the beat. You don't want to just be a metronome. So it's the same thing. It's the same idea that you want to do things that are memorable and that are original, but not at the cost of the song. And not to distract from the heart of what the song is.
I know. Yeah, it's interesting, because in my head, all I can hear is "Inagata Davida."
That may be a whole other issue.
But I mean, the
Yeah.
drumming in that is
Yeah,
just
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, it might be like a CAT scan. Maybe it might be a CAT scan.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's interesting, the drumming, because drumming is so tribal and it's so
it
with
is. It's fascinating. And, I've done a bunch of drum circles. I'm sure you guys have too,
No,
And no? Is that true?
No.
No, haven't you done a lot of them?
drum circles?
Yeah. Have you ever done one?
I'm not a drummer.
But I mean, you know what a drum is,
Yeah,
right?
but haven't you done a drum circle?
He must have done a drum circle.
I don't know that no, it's not really something that is on my radar to do.
You've never done a drum circle?
I may have
I think we're
seen
done.
one.
I think we're done here.
I may have been on like the Venice boardwalk and seen like people like doing
Well,
it.
here's what's interesting about a drum circle. I've done a number of them, and what's interesting is that there's, I mean, rarely are there more than one or two actual drummers that are, or maybe even one that are in a drum circle. Everybody else is just kind of going with it, but it shifts. The pulse of it shifts, and it can shift in ways that are almost undetectable. It's like there's like the wind comes up and ruffles the leaves and you didn't even notice it. And it's this strange kind of living thing. It's almost like audible consciousness. And it comes from, I think, from deep within like the neurology of people, because, they don't know what they're doing. They're not, maybe they're imitating a beat they've heard, or maybe they're deliberately changing something, but it's all kind of it's all just so improvised, but you can just, then other people respond to it and it shifts, and it's a very interesting experience. It's very soothing too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you have me sold. Next
I
one that
remember
comes
seeing a
up,
drum. I saw a
into
drum
it.
circle. I think
We should have one around my bonfire.
you know what? I've seen drum circles with 4 people, and I've seen drum circles with 100 people, and they behave the same way. They evolve with no particular signaling from one participant to another.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah. No, we should do it sometime, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that that it's part of, like, when it's a group like that, like it's a I mean, I want to call it like a hypnosis, but it's when everyone kind of gets into this this synchronization there, and there's you're creating like this energy, this wave of energy, when everyone is like kind of in the same pattern, the same rhythm, and they're like they're connecting and creating something that is palpable.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and it is a synchronicity, and what makes it so fascinating is that if one person makes a slight adjustment, it is felt by all. That it begins to be not mirrored in an exact way, but as adjustments are made to accommodate a new a new cadence, and that the whole thing begins to shift around. And I think the reason people love it so much, I mean, it feels good to do it physically and feel like you're contributing and you're part of something, but it's also, if each person gets a moment without even realizing it to reflect their own unconscious. Right. There's a whole place over in the San Fernando Valley. It's the Remo Drum Factory, and they do drum circles there. And they've got a zillion kinds of percussion instruments. They've got everything you can think of: quintos and congas and bongos, blah blah blah, everything you can think of. They've got the biggest drum I've ever seen. I think it's like a 20-foot diameter.
Wow.
Massive drum. It's massive. It's like
wow.
And it's mounted horizontally, or vertically rather, so that you can go up and it's like
sounds like
big,
an outing. Jason and I need to go.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, I've been to a couple events at it, and you can they make it available. You can rent it for whatever, and
you can rent the 20-foot drum.
It's right in there. It comes with it. Yeah. If they're still in business,
you're laying on it.
if they're still in business after COVID, I presume they are. But, yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience.
I want to see like do that drum. That'd be fun.
I think it's like when people sing too. I mean, I'm not a singer, but when people who really have voices get together and they sing, you can see that happening too. That it evolves. It changes. With no particular design. It just does.
I think that's what got me into music, actually, is like when I was 16, it's like getting together with other like singers, like and just getting together, that act of getting together and just singing songs and all. It created like a totally different energy for me that felt like productive, and it felt instant. Like before then I was like painting and I was making movies and things, and these were like you had to like plan out, you had to have your pre-production, you had to like do a lot of work on that. And when you got together and sang songs and all, it was an instantaneous gratification and an energy.
Well, so much of I can see that. I mean, I wish I had a voice I could do that with. It strikes me that in life we are together as a community of people, but we're also apart. We're separate. We are satellites within a community, unto ourselves. And there are only rare things where you all come together to do something simultaneously, where there are no walls. And it's profound. It's profound. It's more profound than you would think it would be. I think that's the depth that catches you off guard with the drum circle. That all the walls are down. I mean, that if you're there, then you're not thinking about other stuff. You're just in you're in the pulse of it, and everybody is undivided in that way.
Like a heartbeat.
Like a heartbeat, and you all become for this brief time, kind of one entity in a weird way. And how many things are there in life that are like that? Very few.
Right. So it's like being at one, maybe the embryo of the earth.
Yeah.
The Mother Gaia.
Yeah. Yeah, they're cool. They're surprisingly, they're surprisingly personal too. I mean, even though you're working with a group of other people, you feel this personal contribution that's quite deep. And you don't have to be good at it. That's the other thing that's great about it, is that it's not like you have to be a drummer.
I mean, just like boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom. You just add your own voice.
Absolutely.
To it.
That's all you got to do. And that's all some people do. Or they'll do, cowbell, Christopher Walken stuff. Or they'll do claves, whatever. And that's what's so cool about that place over there. The Remo Center is that they've got all the percussion.
Tons of musical instruments at the Vortex.
Oh, do you? Okay, well, there you go. Yeah. People love them too. People love there's a sensuality to it too, that you're interacting with something, you're interacting with something. You're feeling it, and it's coming out of your body. You're releasing something. You're creating form from something that's flowing through you. That's, it's remarkable.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's like a commercial for the Remo Center.
Right?
Yeah.
They should be giving you a free time on that.
Reservations are available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice. It's nice that, we can be in reverence of things that used to be open that are open now again. Yay.
I used to watch I used to watch my mother and my sisters and whoever else was there, like when they were preparing Thanksgiving. And
at the Remo Center?
Yeah. On the big, And they were in flow. They were in flow together. They were, it was like it was all one thing in a way, that they were all working together. So those are very precious ways to interact with one another.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've had a lot of those.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
we really have had a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. That was the essence of how we all spent time together. When you think about it, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
We had a
yeah.
lot.
That we were talking, we were awakening. I think things that we wanted to talk about, and bringing that out in one another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a real kind of it was symphonic.
Mm-hmm. It
Yeah,
was.
and very safe. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, I think you always made a very safe environment too. That's the other thing. You got to feel safe,
Thank you.
right? So like whether it's a drum circle or you're making gravy, you got to feel that you're not being judged. And by the way, not at the same time. That doesn't work. I've
No.
seen that happen. That's a disaster.
A
I'll make
gravy
this
circle?
while you guys
A
drum.
gravy circle.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I did. I attended a gravy circle. That was once was enough.
Yeah, we've had some great.
Yeah.
I mean, we can out of the really battles of our life, we have really Akashic records. Someday in our past lives, it would be like, oh yeah, I remember when we had a lot of fun.
Well, I remember I was having. I think it was a birthday party at my house. The house that burned down, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my friend Paul came over, and I think you guys were there. I know Jason, that you were there. Some other people were there, and we were doing what we always did, just hanging and talking. And I remember, and Paul called me a couple of days later, and he said, I just don't go to places like that where people are just sitting around and really talking about things, and comparing notes about everything from the minor to the cosmic, and he was very struck by that. But that was really just sort of the norm for us.
Yeah.
Not that we were trying to be deep. We weren't. We weren't trying to be anything. We weren't trying to be anything. We were, I think, interested in a lot of different things, and interested to hear what one another thought and felt about those things.
Right. Yeah. No, it's important. It's important to create that in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were drinking pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think COVID, a lot had, this lockdown time has really been hard on a lot of people from that standpoint. But life was going too fast.
Yeah, I mean, it
together.
seems like it has revealed both the folly of how we were living with these sort of paradigms of having to commute to here and do that, and get stuck in traffic, and just the rituals that were so embedded in how we got things done. And now, because of being forced to be at home, and because of what we're doing right now, Zoom, it's made a big difference. And then the other thing that it seems to me it's revealed is how much we need to be around one another. That we took that for granted, all of us. We all took it for granted because we were around one another, at work, or wherever. It was nothing special. It was just part of the life. But when it was completely taken away, you realize that it was the key to life.
Yeah. And what matters, is truly what matters.
Yeah.
I know that, you and I, we stay home a lot to do our work, but Jason was stuck in traffic probably a lot.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of running around. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I was so happy that you were meeting people, because Jason had been behind the curtain for so many years.
Yeah.
And then was out and about meeting people, and I did really love that. And you're still meeting people, but it's giving you a chance to really hone your career now. To whereas the Japanese sessions, isn't that just
well? Yeah. And look, Jason's always been so intuitive and so in sync with people, and so insightful, and I think whether it's up close live or through the miracle of Zoom technology, he's able to reach right in and hear and listen, And so he's really in sync. He's in sync with himself and in sync with other people. And I still, but that cup, I will be coming for that cup.
Come and get it. Come and get it. Oh, you can't. It's mine.
Oh,
It's
you
mine.
can't. You can't leave your home, can you? Because of COVID. So you can't come and get my cup.
Jason didn't see that. The licking of the cup.
Yeah. I'm very prone to art that has eyes on it. I like anything that has eyes on it. I realize a lot of the things that I've collected over the years have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I used to always give you heads, you know. I'd see a sculpture and it was like,
yeah, I still have the one you gave me. I still have it. Yeah, I've got it. In fact, I have it in a very interesting place. I have it in one of my bookcases that has like two doors that have glass, right? So he's behind the glass, as if, you know, he's so sensitive that the vibrations of real life would be too difficult for him. So it gives him like a little, kind of a protective meridian, you know? Yeah. Well, he's still great though. And he's got, you know, you remember he's got all the like stuff coming out.
Oh yeah.
Whew.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I bought you hands and I see all sorts of weird stuff all over the world. Richard Christian's name is on that.
I got stuff Jason and Sue Marie got me where I'm looking at it right now in my office. It's like a vase that's got multiple heads that are identical. They go all around the vase. It's fantastic. And then another one that's like a companion piece. It's the same size vase, white, and like see my fingers. It's all made up of fingers.
Wow.
That are going up. Yeah. Very disturbing to some people, but to me, it's like I love it.
There are some.
That's a metaphor.
There are some gifts, you know, that just have your name on them.
Yeah. Well, whenever people know that I like weird stuff.
Because you can appreciate it. It's like you don't just look at the thing and go, oh, well, that's just a thing of hands, you know.
Yeah, I don't just go, oh, that's crazy. I mean, I get sort of the energy of it, and as Tara said, I see them. I do see metaphors.
Yeah.
You know, I see so many. I don't really think everything's a metaphor, but I think many things are that are not given enough credit for being a metaphor. You know, see the thing up behind me?
Yeah, I love
made
that.
by Sergio Bustamante. He's a Mexican artist, and it's a. Can you see? It's a face. On an egg.
Little face.
Yeah. So to me, that's a metaphor too. You know, that life is ready to emerge.
Yeah.
That kind of
yeah. He looks like he's the creative egg who's gonna come and bring something to the world. He's
quite interesting. It's part of what I like about him is that he's a man in his egg. Is that let's see, can you see his face?
It's pretty bright. You have to hold it sideways a little bit.
Oh he's beautiful.
Can you see him now?
Yeah.
But you see, his face is so beautifully done.
Yeah, he is beautiful.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Wait, which one is you? Which one is the egg?
That's what I mean. That's how incredible it is, you know.
Right. He's gonna birth ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Sergio Bustamante. Okay.
I think he's like a fragile one. He needs to be behind glass too.
Yes. I think we all need to be behind glass now and then. Now and then.
Yes.
Yeah.
What you were saying about metaphor and seeing life as metaphor, is that why you're a writer? Or is it because you're a writer you see the metaphor, and then you look to lay it down on a paper for others?
I see. You know what? It happens both ways, but I think the genesis of it was the way I was raised. And my mother was a shrink. I mean, you guys know this, and my father, of course, was the grand fantasy writers of the last century. You know, and in our home, it was sort of a given that what appeared to be the truth or the reality of something was not necessarily that. So my mother, because she was trained as a shrink and had great intuitions to become a really excellent shrink, not just a trained shrink, but an excellent shrink, she could see through people's behaviors. And my father could see the connectivity between ideas that appeared to be disparate, or could find a significance in something that would appear to be invisible, right? And so the experience of being around them both was don't assume that what you're looking at is what you're looking at. And the minute you start thinking that way, you're very much plunged into the sea of metaphor, because metaphor is really all about, it is what it is, but it's far more than what it is. And so, yeah, I do think that way.
Yeah, so you just picked up the magic of your parents, because I mean your dad was so prolific, and then your mom was in her own right, just knowing behavior and studying psychology like she did. It was fabulous.
It was kind of the opposite of what you would think of as like military thinking, that's very literal. There was nothing, I mean, it was a very composed environment, and it was very calm, and it's not like it was chaotically weird or anything, but there was a understanding that to take in things literally was to misunderstand what they actually were.
Yeah, I know.
So it's the transactional states. It's consciousness, it's unconsciousness, it's realizing that there was a shrink I knew who told me one time that when you meet an adult, you can assume most of the time they're completely the opposite of the way they appear to be. And I said, that's really an interesting idea. He said, yeah, because people learn defense mechanisms, those young, right, to protect themselves. Those defense mechanisms become refined and perfected and become their identity, can become their career, in fact. And they begin to get rewarded for all of that. And it was really never the essence of what they were to begin with. It was just armor. It was armor that became initially weaponized, but then ultimately it became their identity, their apparent identity.
Right. Well, I want everybody to be able to find your stuff. So you can buy GQ, and you can read up about Zoopraxis.
Yes, that's my friend Sandra Becerril. It's in the Mexican GQ. So if any of my friends in Mexico, check it out.
Right. Awesome.
You have like a photo spread of you in a suit too?
Wouldn't that be good? I would like that.
Or
like a toreador.
We'll have to plan a meal and see the.
Yeah. Well, it's getting safer all the time now. It's getting safer all the time. Yeah. But all the books and stuff and all my films and stuff, you can get it all. It's all on Amazon. I mean, thank God for Amazon.
Right.
Yeah, it's all
Amazon.
there.
I hear that.
Yeah, and my new book, my Zoopraxis, which is my third collection, which has been out for a while, I'm bringing out a new edition of it that'll have probably maybe 10 new stories in it. That from Amazon too. That'll be in the next month or so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Jason is at jasondmckean.com, and there's his name right there on the screen. JASONDMC, capital KEAN. Right. And you're doing the Japanese sessions, and anybody can book a session with you, right, through your website?
Yes.
Or through Instagram, Facebook. Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook. It's like just contact me, and I'll fit you in, for a reading. I've got a past life regression that I'm doing here today. It's like soul progressions, just everything, and classes. I do 3 classes a week. If you want to learn to read tarot, then, we read tarot in those classes. You don't have to listen to me for 2 hours. So it's really great. Thank you, Tara.
Hey, I miss seeing you guys in person. Jason, I love you. I admire you.
Love you too.
And I want my cup back.
Nope, not happening.
Tara.
I love you.
I love you too, sweetie pie.
All right. Lots of love, everybody.
Yeah. All right.
Blessings, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Transformations with Tara. Tara hopes this program brings guidance and insight towards a better tomorrow. If you have any questions or inquiries, or would just like to know more about Tara Sutphin's workshops and seminars or private sessions, please visit her website now at tarainsight.com. Until next time, many blessings.